Imagine this. You show up to a house for a final walkthrough for your closing that's happening in a couple of days, only for it to end with you calling the fire department because a fire broke out. Now, I know we use the term putting out fires a lot in real estate, but listen, our bestie that is on the podcast today literally had that happen. And we are going to talk about just how she problem solved and got through everything. Help me welcome to the podcast my friend and real life real estate bestie, Tempestt Bramlett. Hey, girl.
Hey, hey, hey.
How are you doing today? Are you better today?
I am better today. We were at the closing table, so I am much better. I'm glad that my client is okay, that we're okay, and we're in good health from that fiasco. But it was something. I think that is one of my most craziest journeys with that happening on Wednesday.
Yes, it
So,
just it just happened. So yeah, let me set it up. So for those of you who connect with me and you follow me on social media, Tempest may look familiar because Tempest is not only a real life real estate bestie, but she is one of the lead agents on my team here in the North Dallas suburbs. So we are the RL Realty Group. So I'm closely related to a lot of your deals, and we had just done a photo shoot updating our branding, feeling all good. We high fiving because Tempest is leaving the photo shoot and she is going to a final walkthrough. And then we get a Voxer message from you, and you said, no, actually, you put a picture of the fire truck, and you were like, y'all, why did this house just catch on fire? I cannot make this up. But somehow you closed today. So Tempest, let us know, like, tell us what happened.
So we went into the house, we turned on the lights because we checking for everything. So we turned on the lights, making sure they're working. And me and my client are upstairs and we're checking out the doors, making sure they're locked because she has some safety concerns and all of that. But we all of a sudden start smelling something. And I was like, okay, well, let's go outside to see what the smell is. And we did not notice the light outside. I was just like, well, maybe, you know how people be burning stuff,
Yeah.
and I was like, maybe that's just the outside air and all of that. And she was like, well, maybe. And so we went back inside and then she said, well, let me see if this door will open because something was wrong with the back door. And so we opened the door and all of a sudden the light was in flames.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I mean, I was just standing still. She was like, oh no, I got to get this on camera. So she's videoing the fire, and I'm looking at the fire like, is this happening? And then I saw it kind of spread on the wall, and I said, oh no, we have to call 911. And she was like, well, I'm trying to get a good video of it. I'm like, I'm going to call 911 so that we'll know I don't want the house to catch on fire, which was
Right. You're like,
already
I
like in
literally need to get the fire
flames.
put out.
Yeah. So call the fire department. They're like that they were a stickler, like, what's your name? What's your last name? Is this your home? Why are you at the home? And so I was like, I need help.
Right.
I
Right.
need help telling them the address, telling them my name, telling them why I'm there. And they said, well, you need to get out of the house. Well, that should have been the first thing you told me because we're still in the house like crazy folks and a fire is going on. So I get my client, I'm like, we have to get out of the house. And so she's trying to cut off all the lights. And I'm like, don't touch nothing. Let's
Right.
go. And so we go outside. I mean, the fire department was there in like 4 minutes.
Wow. Good. Good.
So they came and they put out the fire, and all of a sudden we heard a big boom from them pouring fluid onto the light.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, the electricity is shot now. Yeah, we went back inside the house because they said it was okay for us to go back in. And they said we couldn't turn on any lights. So we were like, okay, so we really need an electrician out here. First off, I need to call the agent and say, hey, just saved our house.
Yeah. Your house just caught on
Like,
fire.
yeah, at our walkthrough. But they were more than willing to fix everything, have everything fixed, and my client still wanted to move forward.
Wait, wait,
They
wait.
got everything
Before we get
fixed.
into that, I know you, it ends with a happy ending, so that's a spoiler alert. But you learned some big lessons. But I want to go back to the moment where, okay, you are 36 hours away from closing. And literally, we always use that term like, oh, I have to put out these fires before my close. And I have to, you like literally were involved in putting out a fire. Luckily, it was contained to one area. But what was through your mind where you're on this high and now all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, what is about to happen with this deal? What were you thinking? Your honest thoughts?
I was thinking, why is this happening to me?
Mm,
Like, why me? Why at this moment that this is happening to me and we're almost at the finish line? So my client said, well, I'm just going to go to the restaurant, and get something to drink. And I said, I'm going to church.
yeah.
I'm going to go to church because I was already scheduled to be at church
Okay.
for
For
Bible
Bible
study.
study. Yep. We have Bible
hmm
study.
So I said, I'm going to church. And I wanted to continue doing what my schedule said that I was going to do.
I'm gonna stop you there because that is monumental. Because how often, because not only like you don't know what's gonna happen with the house, your client, I imagine, is frustrated at this time. But there has to be a little part of you like, I was supposed to be getting paid tomorrow. Like, what is happening?
Mhm.
And a lot of times, I think that that's when we fall into the not the best habits, right? We let our feelings dictate, and before you know it, you having a drink or you eating food or you popping off or doing something you shouldn't do, like something to make you feel better. But you decided to stay true to your schedule and your time block and
Mhm.
go and be in the house of God. So why? Like what made you make that decision?
So first off, I told my team that, okay, this is what's going on at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you saying that I'm going to church with my full face of makeup, you
Because
know?
we got our pictures done. I was like, oh, I'm going. Like people go see me today. I got my
So
makeup
it
done.
was almost like an accountability too,
Yeah,
with, okay, my team is going to be at church. I told them I was coming to church, which I was going, but it was almost like an accountability to where that's where I need to be. I get to see familiar faces where I know I can kind of sit in it instead of
mm-hmm.
going home to tell my husband, like, this may not work out, which he called me on the way to church and was like, hey, you sounding a little funny. And I was like, I'm okay. I'll talk to you tonight, you know, because
Yeah,
I knew I didn't need to talk to him in that moment because I hadn't even processed the way that I felt about the house.
yeah.
So I was going to church, and that's why I was so happy when I saw you. I like followed you to where you I was so happy when I saw like somebody who understood, an entrepreneur that understood what I may be going through at this moment,
Yeah,
and just saying, and I did feel proud of myself for sticking to what I said what was on my calendar to
yep,
sit in church, and to zone out all the noise in the back. Because in the back of my head, I was thinking, okay, my family had counted these funds. It was on my board, and when you look at your board, you're like, oh, you're so proud of your board. And now I felt like I couldn't count that.
yep,
And now I'm looking for the next, like, okay, when does that one close?
yep,
Or in the back of my mind. And I needed to zone all of that out too
yep,
and focus on church, focus on the next thing on my schedule, which
yeah.
was me sitting down, me being at women's Bible study, me being present in that moment and putting everything else behind me when I sit down in my seat.
Oh, Tempest, I like this is making my heart happy for a couple of reasons. But like, we can worry or we can pray, but we can't do both, or it's well, you can do both, but they're going to be counterproductive. And because I know you, and I'm not going to say that you are a natural warrior, but I have had an opportunity, and even as you're describing this moment, I see the evolution in just your thinking and where you want to focus your energy and your attention. And what I know is that after that, like there was nothing else you could do, right? And I even asked you at close at church. I said, "She's still gonna move. Like, what do you think will happen with the deal?" You were like, "I don't know," but nor did you look worried about it. And there's some bestie out there because I hear you saying, "I counted those funds. Like we know what it feels like to be looking for a deal to close, and there is uncertainty around it." And sometimes, because of what we need for our families, it can cloud our ability to think logically and to problem solve and to help, and to really help our clients make the best decision. So, walk me through the next day after, you went to church, you steeled yourself, and now you have to figure out how to move forward. Do you notice differences in how you approach this than how you previously maybe approached it?
Oh, definitely. I probably would have went home and cried,
Mm,
but the beauty in what happened was, and I didn't realize it until I got there. A friend of mine got to the church. A friend of mine had texted me and she said, "Hey, where are you sitting?" And I had invited her to church.
oh, wow.
My friend Courtney, I had invited her to church and I said, I knew I needed to be here, and I sat by her. I didn't let her know anything that was going on. We just sat together. I saw you and Kim up there at the front, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit back here. I invited her, you
Hmm.
know. My mission this month has been like, I need to serve more and I need to, and just me inviting somebody, that's something that I wouldn't do,
Yeah. Yeah.
invite somebody to sit with me at church.
Yeah.
But I probably would have just went home and cried to where yesterday I called you and I was just like, I am so glad that I can just kind of, you can walk me through things.
Yeah.
Because my mindset yesterday was I had faith, but it was almost like, do you really have faith?
Mm.
And I needed to kind of and I called you and I was just like, okay, this is what is going on with the transaction now. How can I word this to where I'm taking myself out of the equation because I was still maybe my two big toes in.
Yeah.
How can I take myself out of this situation because I truly want to do what's best for my client. And if she does not want to move forward, then I need to respect that. And
Yep.
I needed to talk to you because I knew that you could put things in perspective for me a little bit and vouch for what I was doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I called you and you said, well, this is what I would do, and I almost wanted to cry because it was my same thought,
Mm.
you know, but I was almost like, okay, I knew I was right. And I do have faith, that if this doesn't work out, she's motivated. She can find something else within the
Yeah.
next 30 days, you
Yeah.
know. But I wanted to cry so bad, and I did because I have a team leader that wants me to be great, and I want to be great. But the way that you showed up for me in that moment made me realize that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and that I have a team leader that supports me beyond what I ever could have imagined. And and I love what I do, but somebody who just supports you and wants you to win, it pulled at my heartstrings so much yesterday. We boxed a whole bunch yesterday.
Yeah.
Almost like she need to phone. It's 9 o'clock. So in that moment, I still couldn't express to my husband what I was feeling,
Yeah.
but I had so much gratitude because my team leader supported me. She knew, that this could possibly be heavy on me too, but she also gave me the facts so that I could show up for my client better and give them the facts that they needed.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I don't know if you realized how much I needed you, but it was just like, okay, you know, I can breathe now and I can relay the facts a different way to where my heart was a little heavy and I felt like I couldn't take myself out of the situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, so you got me crying. But good tears, right? Because yeah, like I know when we called and we problem solving, and it's hard, right? I think that the shift that you're feeling is, yes, you had my support, and it's such a blessing. This is why we have Real Estate Bestie. This is why, I am a big proponent of, if a team is a good fit, if not, get in the room with a community that can support you, whether it be coaching, whatever the support is, because sometimes it's hard for us to think logically, or
Mhm.
to think, like, because at the end of the day, you needed this to close for your family.
Right.
But this closing for your family may not have been the best thing for the client. And
Right.
we had to talk through, like, not withholding anything from her for your or our team's gain, but to truly, truly be like, okay, so, because she was actually okay moving forward without some additional due
Mhm.
diligence, that I was like, no, we have to tell her this. And at the end of the day, Temp, if she decides to walk away from this deal, we just got to believe God that, what's for you is going to be for you. And
Mhm.
we don't want to compromise, and you were already there. And sometimes God will use the mentorship and the guidance and that person in your life just to be confirmation of what he already has told you. And you definitely are not a raggedy realtor just out here just only thinking about your own personal gain at all. But I noticed that was a shift for you. And yesterday we were just kind of like, okay, we're gonna lay it all out for, in this scenario
Mhm.
is wonderful because the sellers are willing to do whatever they needed to do. Like, we will get the whole, it just seemed like it was a freak incident. But it was like, okay, we're gonna see what happens tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I told you, I was like, let's just get the extension, and whatever
Mhm.
she decides, and we'll figure it out. And I was on my way here today, and my phone rang. And what you say?
I said, girl, we're going to closing. I am leaving the house now. We did another walkthrough this morning. And I said, girl, we're going to closing. I won't be at the meeting today. We were leaving the walkthrough and everything looked great. God had his hand all over it, which he always does. But I didn't have to do any type of heavy
Convincing.
lifting when I gave it to him.
Yep. Yep.
Like or stress myself out. When I tell you I went to the house this morning and I had my broom, you know how we kind of like to sweep up and stuff. And that's just my nature too. When I'm worried a little bit, I kind of like to clean. So I was in there, just wasn't nothing on the floor, just in there just sweeping so she can,
Yeah.
so she can make sure everything was good and everything was great. And we went to the closing table and we closed today. So I'm so glad I had guidance, when I couldn't feel like I could guide it. God had his hand all over you too, and he knew exactly what to tell you to tell me. So I'm so glad that you're my coach because in that moment, everybody needs coaching, but in that moment, my coach showed out because I didn't have it in me, to just give my clients those words, like this is what we should do. I knew what I needed to say, but I needed
You needed to
to be
remove
coached
yourself.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to be coached through it.
Yep. And
So,
that's one of the most powerful things that I think about. Like I always say, it's not that you don't know what to say. It's how to say it. And sometimes we
mhm,
just need to think through the process. And there is such a blessing with being able to not do, first of all, I'm going to say not do business alone, because we know that business can be lonely. But then number two, baby, not do life alone, right? Because,
mhm,
sometimes it's hard to express, like, I was counting on this, But when
Mhm.
you are in community with people who understands what I am counting on this means, but we still have fiduciary responsibility to put somebody's else interest above our own, there is strength in community.
Mhm.
There's strength in community.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so how do you feel today? Like how where are you at
Oh,
right now?
great. I'm making sure that she has everything she needs as far as, the keys, and her movers are already set up, and I'm working on another transaction. So I always say it's really sad. You made me realize you're like, okay, you fired now. Who you gonna have next?
Yeah.
It's almost like bittersweet for me because I have been showing her for a while.
Yeah.
So now I'm adding more people to the roster of new personalities. So I have to adjust, but I'm working on a contract now. Hopefully it'll get executed and adding more buyers to the list and knocking out my goals before 2024 ends.
Yes. Yes. Right. We're, we're
Yeah.
we're thinking on our team and even in coaching, right? We're spending, of course, as we're recording this, it's mid-October. So we are definitely forward thinking about the year, but we're not throwing next year, but we're not throwing this year away. There is still an intended effort. Now, Temp, I want to ask you a question because being emotional, like I don't think we talk enough about the emotional roller coaster that is being a real estate agent. We got some besties on here that are probably experiencing those emotions, but we have some people who aren't quite all the way in production and they just haven't had all of these tossing and turning that you've
Mhm.
experienced. What would you say? And this was like an actual fire, but sometimes it's just a picky buyer, an unreasonable seller. You're dealing with somebody tap dancing on your nerves for the other side, the other agent. How has coaching specifically helped you process your feelings and emotions as you approach this business?
I would say you've really helped me kind of visualize, with me putting into perspective the buyers that I deal with, which is most of the time first time home buyers. And there's a lot of jitters and emotional, ties to the sale,
Yeah.
sticking to the facts because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be emotional. It's one of the biggest purchases that they'll make, and you're help guide. You're the guide. So I think you've helped me kind of put into perspective with my buyers and them sticking to the facts. These are the facts that we have, and this is what we need to decide based on these facts. So not putting my opinion in, which is very hard because we all have opinions about,
Yes.
the house or the transaction or what they need to
What they should
offer.
do. Yeah, all of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving
Yeah.
them what we say, we make suggestions so that you can make
You can
decisions.
make so that they can make the best decisions for their families. Just sticking to the facts. That
Yeah.
has helped me. If I can point out anything that has helped me, a coach, sticking to the facts, taking my emotions out, and just serving,
Yeah.
you
Because that's what
know?
it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what
Just
it's all about.
serving and making sure that they feel comfortable and making sure that they're doing what's best for their family. Because yeah, we looking at what could be best for our family,
Yep.
but we truly need to tap in to make sure that they're doing what's best
Yep.
when
And
they're
that's the
purchasing.
differentiator, right? You get so many people who, have lost trust in our field because the rhetoric is like it's only about money and it's not really caring about people. And I love that, when you let it go and you demonstrated your care for people, God still blessed you with it. And this was a great, like, y'all, the house was a great house, great deal. Like, it's just something crazy that happened, but we had to get the right professionals in there. We had to make sure our
Mhm,
client knew all of her options. We had to make sure that we told her, hey, if you want to walk away today, we're going to stand beside you. So I
mhm,
love that you did that. And what Tempest is describing, from our team, I really think that that's why we have Accelerator coaching, because it's like, how do we duplicate and extend this same sort of community? Like, everybody is not in Dallas,
mhm,
everybody can be a part of our team. But one thing that I love is that a lot of what we do on our team, and you have had interactions with the besties too, we're able to do that in our coaching group. So
Hmm.
if you sick of doing it alone, right? Because you did it alone for a while, right? This real
I
estate thing.
did. I did. I did. Until I was forced to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Well, not forced. I think that I was just, you were just in the path. I mean, you had served one of the clients that I went to school with. So I think it was meant for me to see how somebody else was doing it,
Yep.
and for me to put my pride aside and to reach out because I really needed guidance. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And when you agreed to meet with me, I was like, okay, I don't know what to say to her, but we're gonna be on there,
Look,
talking.
and now we basically first cousins. So look at that.
Hmm.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, I am so blessed to have you. And quite honestly, just as much as God has used you, you were essentially one of the first people that I ever had an opportunity to coach, right? And to
Hmm.
take you from 0 deals to the amount, and it's not me, right? You are just coachable. You care about the people. You're willing to dig deeper into what your why is and just exude excellence in everything that you do. Not because things are
Hmm.
perfect, but this is what you've committed to. And I absolutely love being a part of it. And besties, if you're
Yeah.
listening, right, and you're like, man, what does letting go of my ego and getting out of my own way and not doing this business alone? We have just a few more opportunities. We are currently enrolling for our coaching program, but I like to talk to people because we want to make sure that this
Hmm.
is going to be a great fit, a great investment. So check out the description box if you're watching on YouTube. If you are listening to the podcast, it's rosemarylewis.com/accelerator. Just get on a call with me, right?
Hmm.
Just figure out if this is what you need. We don't want it to pass you by. We're starting up again in the beginning of November. And I'm just happy. I love to see the people making money, but the shift that you just made, Tempest, it's like a mindset shift, and that heart of service, like it's gonna show up and it's gonna exude in everything
Hmm.
that you do, and that's gonna be a difference maker. So, do you have anything you
Hmm.
want to say to the besties before we pop off?
Bestie, sign up for coaching because no, seriously, in all honesty, it can change your life.
Yeah,
It can definitely change. It changed mine.
yeah.
It
The
changed the
coaching
way
that I've
I
done has
look.
changed my life too. Yep.
It changed the way I look at a lot of things. I come from where we can be really like one track mind. It has opened my eyes up to so many things, especially with having your own business and generating your own income. Just how to look at that and how to navigate and how to work in your business. It has helped me so much.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate the community in itself. You know,
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing, the besties are always bestie. And I talked to one of the besties yesterday, and when I tell you I came to the office yesterday and I was just almost done when I walked in the door, but I
Yeah.
got a message from a bestie, and I had went to a wedding on Tuesday. But she had sent me this message and she said, "Girl, I don't know if you were the bride
Come on, bestie. You
or
better.
what, because you were." But when I tell you, this was the day that I had no makeup on. It was right after the fire.
Yep.
And I walked into the office just like, I'm coming here and work, you know? But just having that community, and that's what I really needed in my business. Didn't know that I really needed coaching, to be honest.
Yeah.
I needed community, and a great coach came along and set that community up. And I'm so blessed to be a part of it. Oh,
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
kind of
We done
crying.
crying. We done crying. We done crying. Okay, bestie. So, uh, Tempest is not only on my team, but she is a part of Accelerator with us. Like I said, I'm just so like when you called me this morning and you told me just the mindset shifts, I was like, we have to do a podcast while it is fresh, because I know that there's somebody here that understands all of those emotions. And I'm just so grateful that we have a good father who makes zero mistakes about who he puts in our lives. And even, the things that we worry about, commission and deals and all these things, he is where provision comes from. So I appreciate you for witnessing to us, for what letting it go and doing what you can do and being faithful over what you're supposed to be faithful over, what that does. And I'm just excited just to see you continue to grow. I love you, girl.
Love you so much.
Love you. All right, besties. Love y'all too. RosemaryLewis.com/accelerator. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.